My name is Jody, and I just retired from my super important yet super boring corporate job where I explain complex things to the C-suite executives in 5 minutes or less to get them to actually make decisions and do something. I will now take these corporate superpowers and do deep dives into current events and help to answer the obvious questions. And this is my podcast. Hello, fellow truth seekers, and I apologize for back-to-back episodes on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, but sadly for them, they are the gift that just keeps on giving. So today the obvious question is, what the are these two trying to do? On Saturday they announced, or maybe it was re-announced, their initiative, the Parents Network. And it broke so many rules for a successful business, I just could not let it go. It is so incredulous to me that two people who literally have every advantage known to the world continue to take that privilege and say, hold my beer, and have another swing and miss. Okay, so I do admit I am out here struggling to make my business. And if you're listening right now, which you must be, thank you. I really mean that. And it's hard to sit here and watch people who could be so successful if they would take competent advice. But they won't, so I guess they help me out by giving me things to talk about. So, thanks, guys. Now that I've thrown out enough pithy sayings and comments, are you ready to dumpster dive with me? Let's go. So, they've created this thing I said called Parents Network. It sounds great. What does it do? Well, that's where it gets murky. It's hard to tell. It seems like it's a place where parents can apply to be part of a group that allows parents whose children have had harm from social media to talk. Now, I get that it makes sense to have a place that allows grieving or parents that are in crisis to go and talk, but there's no counselors or trained personnel, and it's not local, it's online. So help me understand this. Parents whose children had harm from social media are asked to join a group, and it's on social media. Weird, but okay, let's keep going. So I googled the website and it doesn't come up unless I type in Archwell. Okay, so for those of you that don't understand SEO, which is in the lingo, search engine optimization, that's not great. And what's really bad is they were just on national TV and that still didn't give them a bump. Okay, so Bitterville, party of one here. Spotify allowed me to put my podcast on it, but I didn't get that juicy $20 million that they got. So I admit I have some bias here, but that tells me a huge red flag. No one is actually going to the website after the interview. If people had, then the search engine would have brought it up immediately. Instead, it is actually on the second page. Here's a little life lesson for everybody starting a business. People don't scroll pages. They don't want to click and scroll. And so when you put in a term and you get another organization, which good on that organization, at least they're going to get some bump, and there's a ton of articles, but you can't get to the actual website, that's really bad. So you say, but Jody, the articles are highlighting the issue. And I say, well, kind of. But 75% of the articles are about the issues they've had with the British royal family that has been droning on and on and on and on for 4 years. Let me say that again, for 4 years. And Dr. Google has diagnosed them with a terminal case of tabloiditis. When they speak, instead of the media being interested in the topic, they use the topic to create clickbait, and at this point, the people seem to just want to hate watch. So you say, prove it. And I say, well, thanks for asking, I will. So there were 2 features on the Sunday morning CBS show, one with Harry and Meghan and the other with Nancy Pelosi. Harry and Meghan got 236,000 views, 3,100 likes, and 5,400 comments, which tells me their dislikes were really bad. Conversely, Nancy Pelosi had 446 views, 8,300 likes, and 2,000 comments. Folks, when you lose to a career politician, you know you have problems. As I was looking at the comments on the CBS YouTube account, I was scrolling through them, and the comments are not good at all for Meghan and Harry. Is it good for CBS? Sure, because it's, got people talking and they're, looking at the page and things like that. But of all of the comments, they're all negative against the couple, and barely any of them even address the initiative. So that's really, really bad. Okay, so let's listen to the content, because at the end of the day, this is a new initiative and we're going to give it some grace here. So what did I learn from this interview? Well, not a lot. In order for people to listen, they have to see some expertise. Like, I'm not going to do a podcast on the latest surgical techniques because I'm not a doctor. But I may interview someone on how companies market surgical techniques because I'm a business strategist. And how do you know I'm a business strategist? Thanks for asking. Because I will give you examples of issues that happen within my corporate tenure and align that to a topic. I will show you that I am not just reading a script and that someone prepared me, but actually have experience. My experience and examples are interesting because they truly happen, because they're authentic. You may disagree with my hypothesis, but it is authentic because, again, I'm authentic. Integrity is the only thing you can give away, and I never have and I never will. People have choices to listen or take advice or just be entertained by a myriad of options. Guess what? I want to be one of those options. And I also want to end our 10 minutes or so together with you thinking about something or at least laughing. So taking that, did Meghan and Harry come off authentic? Well, they have children. We know that. And they're amazing. And they're 3 and 5. Okay, great. So they're not even old enough to be on social media. So let me change this around and tell you if they had hired me, what I would have had Meghan say. I would have said something like this. As a parent of a young child, I am taking the time to meet with experts and parents who have gone through these horrific lessons in order to ensure, insert name of child, are not part of the statistic. But we don't hear that. Instead, we hear Harry saying that within 24 hours of a child going on the internet, they can commit self-harm. Okay. Where did you come up with that, Harry? Because guess what? I can't find that statistic anywhere. And you know why? Because it doesn't make sense. He just made it up as he was going, or someone tried to put information in his head. And, I've already said he's a dimwit, so he doesn't have any idea. So he just blurted that out. And you could kind of tell because Meghan gave him a side eye like, oh, God, how am I married to you? Anyway, my BS meter and my eye-rolling twitch both said it made no sense. So already they've lost me. And then Harry starts talking about how you have to be a first responder, and even then you won't be able to help. Okay, that's uplifting, said no one ever. So if you can't stop it and it's going to happen, what exactly do you think you're going to do? Okay, so anyway, their interview is not helping, but they do have a vision. So let's just keep going. Okay, now we meet the parents. And as a parent myself, with a child that pretty much stays off social media because he thinks it's dumb, thank goodness, my heart breaks for them. This is a club I never want to be part of, nor do I want to know anyone that is a part of it. This is very impactful because these are real stories and real children. And it's here we learn that this is not just about self-harm, but it's also about purchasing illicit drugs. Okay, so the parent network is not about social media abuse. It's about safe internet access. Got it. Unfortunately, I only found it because of hearing in the interview. That's not exactly what they said, but I digress. Anyway, their interview was about self-harm, but half the parents were not talking about self-harm. So we are back to being confused about what this initiative is for. So I decided I wanted to get some actual experts. And so I went online and I found the National Library of Medicine has a peer-reviewed article on self-harm in social media. And this is interesting to me. I did not know this. It actually says, no previous review specifically investigated the association between social media internet use or completed or attempted self-harm on adolescents. So what they say, and this is super interesting to me, current evidence suggests a weak independent association between social media internet use and self-harm risk in adolescents. But the direction of effect requires further investigation as well as more consistent monitoring of co-founders such as cyberbullying. There is also evidence of positive or supportive effects of the internet and social media for adolescents. Therefore, clinicians need to take a nuanced and thorough approach when assessing risk. So I read that and I went, wow, that sounds really, really interesting to me. So I actually went and I found another peer-reviewed report. This was done in 2023. The other one was done in 2019, I think it was. And this expert says this. When I tell people my research focuses on social media, sleep, and self-harm prevention, they often assume I'm going to tell them social media is harmful or simply bad for teens. They expect me to agree that social media is the root cause of why rates of depression and self-harm are increasing among teens today. In reality, I won't say this. This is important because the conclusion is not supported by existing research. That, to me, tells me something absolutely amazing. It may not be social media is causing this, but that's not what we're hearing from Harry and Meghan. And they're also not bringing in any experts to discuss this. And I think this is actually a little bit more fascinating. So much so that at the bottom of this, I will put links to these two studies because I thought they were really great. And so while I find this fascinating, it's also sad because no one at CBS even questioned them on their, air quotes, expertise and even brought any of this up. And I think I know why. Because they just wanted them for clickbait. They didn't really care about the story any more than anyone else. They just wanted to get those two in front of a camera so that they could hopefully monetize them. So I decided I was going to go to the Parent Network website. I'm really trying to give this a chance, you guys. And I wanted to see if it clears anything up. Oh, look on front, there's pictures of Harry and Meghan. And then their mission statement. And I quote, "Supporting families in a purpose-driven movement for change to safeguard against online harms. Through our partnership with parents, we are building an empowered, informed, and connected global community of families who support and uplift one another, while becoming a platform and catalyst to affect change towards a safer online world." Buzzword bingo, your table is now ready. I mean, all that was a bunch of word salad saying absolutely nothing. When I would go in meetings and I would hear people make pitches like this, it would drive me crazy because it didn't say anything. It just says, we want to be a happy place and we're going to do it somehow with something in some way and just trust us. Yeah, right. Okay, so now I was clicking around and I end up finding stories from parents. And again, this is heartbreaking and outside the scope. I'm not going to discuss the actual people in here and the parents because I never want to go through it, and that's not the issue that I want to talk about. I'm talking about it from a business perspective. So anyway, stopping on that. So I'm going to go in and it says there's a button to click and it says add my voice. And it asks me for information, but it doesn't tell me how it's going to be used other than it will help them shape their campaign. This, folks, is what we call in corporate speak the tail wagging the dog. When I go, I expect for them to tell me information, not for them to ask me what I think they should be looking at. They're supposed to be educating and engaging me, and I don't see that. And it also doesn't tell me how my data will be used. How will it be stored? Will it be sold? And who's going to be contacting me? And guess what? We don't know because it doesn't say anything in there. So, okay, there's another thing. There's resources. Okay, I'm going to go look at their resource page, and I have guides to 3 applications, which it was, I think, Snapchat. It was Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah. And it has, so I've got these things. I'm like, great. Then I read it, and it's other people's information. Wait a minute. So you borrowed this from another group? So you didn't even create these? You are borrowing it from another group. So here's the thing. Why don't I go to the other group? Why am I coming to you? Why am I going to a third party? Okay, so they've got 5 articles in there, and they have no science or any statistics on here. In fact, this entire website is just has nothing in it. It could have been thrown up in a day, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so then I went back to my Dr. Google, and it showed me a broader list of applications and pinpointed the ones that allow encrypted and hidden ways for adults to get access to children. In my couple hours of research, I put in just to do a sanity check, it gave me better information for parents than this puff piece that Meghan and Harry did, and especially Harry and his sky is falling chicken little comments. Then there is a join us button, and I will tell you, the amount of information they attempt to get from you is terrifying. If you learn nothing else, learn this. Do not give personal data online without safety standards. Considering that this is a page talking about online safety, it just blows my mind. So anyway, I'm going to read what it says. I consent to Archwell Foundation's collection and processing of personal data, including personal data that may reveal, and get this, race, ethnicity, political opinions, religion, philosophical beliefs, trade union membership, health information, and or sex life or sex orientation in order to provide the Parents Network. I provide this consent on my behalf and on behalf of my children. Can we stop again and talk about this is about internet safety? Yeah, terrifying me. It also says, but never, don't fear. If I provide my personal data, I may withdraw it with consent at any time by emailing this address. Okay, don't do that. Here's my idea. Don't trust. Okay, so anyway, they don't explain what this network will do or how you will be contacted, how you'll be vetted and approved, nothing. It has no meat or substance. There is no real thread that you can follow other than social media is bad. I don't understand what they plan to do or how they want to do it or how they plan to fund this. Oh yeah, funding. And speaking of funding, where are the experts? Well, I feel sorry for these parents. It is dangerous and, in my humble opinion, unprofessional to expect parents to create and manage a community like this. These are parents that are dealing with tragedy. They need help, and I don't really think that this is going to help them. But it does seem like Harry and Meghan are trying to do something. And the something seems to be keep up on their We Hate Social Media, while at the same time saying they are not on social media, just like their new organization, because it's their truth and facts are immaterial to their narrative. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Harry and Meghan continue to create the same mistakes over and over, and it seems they're surrounded by people just collecting a check or have absolutely no business skill. So the obvious answer is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have no idea what they're doing other than being clickbait for media, who will always stick a microphone in front of them for the views. And sadly, the act is getting stale, and soon even the media will stop responding, and they are about to be so far gone they're unable to be fixed. Again, call me. My fees are going up, though, every time you go out and get interviewed. And that's my truth.